Welcome back, guys. Automotive Vink here. Today we are talking about the 2025. I'm going to introduce you to the 2025 Ford Super Duty. I know. It's been long awaited. A lot of scuttlebutt, a lot of big stuff allegedly going to happen and whatnot. So we need to kind of get to the brass tacks things before we get going. If you look down there in either corner, the subscribe button is there. Smash that for me at the end of the video. Give me a thumbs up and a like. And also, please go to the channel and check out tons of great content, tons of great news, recall, information, car stuff, whatever. I've got it for you. And if you want a specific video made, please reach out in the current video that you're watching, because I get so many comments a day that if you want a video, I try and stay up on the newest videos, but a lot of times it's just people giving feedback, and I appreciate that, guys. I appreciate everybody being here. So today we were talking about the 2025, and we needed to dispel just a few rumors real quick. In almost every auto manufacturer's history, you got to look back at what has been kind of the industry standard when it comes to mid-model refreshes or even a completely new model. Now, if you guys know, Ford specifically ran their, I think it was 1999 body style all the way to 2006 and a half, almost basically 2007. That was kind of the cutoff. But what they did in 2007, 2008, they did introduce the new 6.4 Power Stroke. They introduced probably the ugliest, I had a 2008 Ford Super Duty, probably the ugliest truck of the Super Duty lineup. They're not ugly meaning it was hideous, but I'm just saying it just wasn't as attractive. Keeping in mind, they still kept the cab doors the same. They refreshed the front end. The bed was basically the same. I think they flipped the taillights over so the reverse light was on top. Unfortunately, the 6.4 seemed to be plagued with problems, and so that model year body style ran for only 2 years. That's been the only time in Ford's history that they've come out and said, hey, we're going to change the truck up in only 2 years. Typically, a mid-model refresh is anywhere between 3 and 6 years. Ram is a perfect example. They brought out the body style in 2010, that interior, and only changed very minor things every 5-6 years. Currently, the 2025 Ram is still basically the same crew cab and mega cab configuration it has been. Yeah, it has the newer interior that it came out with a few years ago, but still not as equivalent to the half-ton version. So they didn't bother changing it. Matter of fact, they kept the door switches the same for almost 16 years. So they're not extending their bed length and everything like that. So Ram basically says, hey, people are still buying it, so who really cares about changing it, right? True, right? Now we flip over to GM and we look at their stuff. GM's about a 4-year cycle where they like to change things. Now, I'm not saying they don't tweak the grill a little bit, might tweak the taillights, but again, Chevy ran that interior for the longest of it, all the way up to 2023. Now, Ram is basically going to change to a ZF8 speed this year and drop the standard output Cummins. We'll see about that. There's always talk, there's always scuttlebutt, but they did say that there's going to be a refreshed front end and refreshed tail end. So again, they're not going to change anything. When it comes to Chevy, they have said that Chevy will be doing a few things different in 2025, but there is nothing vastly different. But let's talk about Ford Super Duty. So as we go back to 1999 all the way to 2015, Ford kept those doors the same with the paddle handles on the outside, the same bed, basically the same taillights, okay? In 2016, they switched it out because I'll tell you what, if a manufacturer has something that's worked for them, just like Ram, their recipe seems to be working just fine for them. People still buy them, people still love them. So why break it, right? So Ford has kind of done the same thing. Once they introduced the Scorpion 6.7 Power Stroke, they finally figured it out. They said people like the power, they like our truck, and we can subtly change difference. And you can see that in all of, that's where Chevy, Ford, Ram, they all do it. They do it in their half tons first. Now Ram still hasn't, again, bumped up to the current crew cab in their HD trucks. Why? Because it's going to be a retooling of the whole truck, the frame and everything, to give that bigger cab and then extend that bed still out a little bit further. So with Chevy, same thing, okay? They refreshed theirs a little bit between 20 and 23, and by the time we hit 24, they kind of refreshed it, changed packages, did everything, added a 10-speed. That was a huge plus to the gasser. But all the way from that time, Ford has not vastly changed their mid-model refresh timeline, because if the recipe works, we don't change it, okay? Now, that's different than the horsepower race. Every single year, it seems like one wants to be the top of the hill when it comes to power. Chevy's basically said, hey, we're cool with only bumping it a smidge. And back in, I think it was 2011, when they came out the Power Stroke 6.7 Scorpion, they actually, Ford submitted 2 different power ratings to the EPA and the CARB. And basically what they did with that is they shot out their numbers because Chevy was coming out with the LML. And so then Chevy came out with the numbers, hey, we're beating Power Stroke, and then Ford resubmitted new numbers beating the Duramax. So that's always going to be part of that. Now, Ford Super Duty refreshed in 2023. We finally got the new interior that we saw previously in the half-ton. So they always try it in the half-ton market first because they sell more half-tons. Everybody does, and they want to get the feedback. They want to get it kind of worked out. So then Ford basically in 2023 refreshed the interior, the exterior of the truck, and to be honest with you, it's been a good seller. So at the end of the day, not a lot of people are looking to have anything changed. Now, there's always going to be things. So the Godzilla's been plagued with issues throughout its history. There's been some wiring concerns, which it literally the fix is zip tie and wire wrap. So for people that are concerned about that, I really wouldn't be. I mean, you can go and check it yourself. Maybe I'll do a video on that later. But nonetheless, all of them are going to have their concerns and everything, but they're going to run that model as far as they can before they go and do a full exterior and interior refresh. So here we are in 2024, and people are saying, should I wait to get a 2025 over 2024? Here's what we do know, okay, across the board. We know that prices will be a little bit higher than they were the year before. That's been the standard for a long time. Then we look at packaging. As safety tech, standard ability, and availability in lower models, that's going to come. In Chevy, in Ram, in Ford, you're going to have the ability to get some of this safety tech in the lowest trim levels, because that's good for work truck guys that are on sites and, you know, ranchers and cowgirls and everybody. It's going to be good for everybody when that stuff happens. We shouldn't have to pay for safety. Are they going to tweak the change transmissions? Really, Ram's the only one that needs to change that, or is going to change out of the 68 RFE. Maybe even drop the ASIN. I don't know if they will or not. I think that still holds a place in Ram's commercial fleet. But that being said, nobody's going to change anything. Okay, now there is potential that they're adding a hybrid in 2026 to the Ford Super Duty. Now that is where we come to this. So here is the 2025 Ford Super Duty. And you're gonna say, wait a minute, that's Loki. Yeah, you're right. Okay guys, from my sources at Ford, and like I said, I network everywhere I go, the 25 ordering bank is gonna be short. So when people sit back and say, well, what could I do? I don't think anything for 25 is going to come into, other than they said that they were gonna drop the limited package, I think last year, but it's still available in 24. So whether or not they drop that, combine packages to a Platinum Plus or something, I don't really know, don't really care. I'm a Lariat or lower kind of guy. I've heard that they're going to lower packages when it comes to the F450 and above. That could be true. Of course, they didn't do it last time. I don't hear that they're going to change anything with this truck. Okay, they're ironing everything out powertrain wise that has been the issue that's plagued the 23 and up. They're tweaking everything. Now, will they play a horsepower number? More than likely. Although the Power Stroke is already the beast in the East, especially the HO. It is the most powerful truck that you can get in a diesel. The Godzilla is already the most powerful. The 6.8, they already decided a long time ago that they were going to limit that to an XL package. So whether or not they even offer that in an F350, it's not really a big deal, because most people are opting or getting packaged out with the Godzilla if they're going gas. So, you know, that's really not going to be a big deal if they change that. I have heard that they will add a few new colors and take away. And how most manufacturers figure that out is they just take their least popular color and get rid of it and make some variation of it. So a lot of people have told me they like this Glacier Gray, and a lot more people have said it's a disgusting, ugly color. Me personally, I'm kind of getting used to it, and I like the fact it's not like anything else that really out there unless you have this exact color. So I kind of like that. It's not necessarily cookie cutter. And at the end of the day, they're not refreshing the interior. This interior is brand new. This is only 2 years old, guys. And really the feedback has been pretty dang positive. Although I complain about the gauges, I still don't even think that's going to change. Now, when it comes to 2026, this model have ran now 3 years. And I think what's going to happen there is they're going to introduce new power numbers again. I hope that hybrid. I think that's going to be sick. And I think at that point, they'll probably again change colors. They add a few, take a few. And then I think we're gonna see a few areas change in this truck. These are these. Now, some people don't like this setup. This hood reminds me of my 2008, this loaf of bread looking hood. I like the previous generation. I think the previous generation Super Duty was the sexiest. That being said, I think they're gonna change in 2026 is the grille. I think they'll add more grille options. Not a lot of people like the bar one that's on the traditional Lariat. I don't think a lot of people like that. I do not believe cab configurations will change. I have heard that they will be offering different wheels on the Tremor in 2026, but nothing for 2025. Again, guys, they are not going to break the mold that seems to be working. But we can see it from even when they added the bed step back in the day. That bed step stayed the same till what, 2017, where it had the handle in the tailgate, you flip down. 2026, I hear some new taillights will be coming. Of course, more tow ratings. I hope that they do add more tie downs in the box. For 2024, they did change the box link system, huge upgrade. So when we look at the interior of this truck, again, this was a complete refresh. If you go back to the previous generation F-150, they had this interior for the longest time. So do I believe, or have I heard anything about changing the interior? Absolutely not. I think they're going to offer Blue Cruise on some other lower levels. Again, packaging, you got to remember this. This is Ford, Chevy, Ram, everybody's saying packaging. This is the biggest changes for 2025. I have heard also that they will eliminate that blue color that they offered because it's not overly popular, and they're going to bring in yet a different color to fill that out. And again, reason why they wouldn't bother changing these cabs is Chevy and Ford have the biggest crew cab truck in the market when it comes to interior space and storage. So I don't see any of this changing. Haven't heard about any of this changing. There might be some subtle tweaks, but again, like under seat storage, that's been the same from the F-150 for a long time. It's been the same across the board. So really, at the end of the day, when people ask me, should I buy a 2025? Well, my answer to you is this. If you need a truck now, you're probably better off. There are still new 23s and a lot. Not a lot, but there are. My suggestion would be is potentially split the difference and go with a 24. More than likely, once the 25s start dropping, it's going to be a quick bunch of 25s, and then Ford's going to come out because they're going to beat everybody to the market. If anybody, whether it's 26 or 28 or 29, Ford's going to beat everybody to the market with a hybrid heavy-duty truck to add into their lineup. They won't get rid of the 7.3 standard, they won't get rid of the 6.8, but they'll add a hybrid in addition to the other two diesels. That is huge. And so all of those things are going to be great. When it comes to the interior, from 2023 to 2024, they actually dropped 2 speakers in the B&O Unleashed. But other than that, this interior is identical to what you could have got. We look back at this steering wheel, this button setup, this pretty much setup matches the F-150 other than having a little kink here. And look how long they ran the F-150 before they changed that. Again, the F-150, the Ford Series trucks are the highest selling in America. Whether we all like Ford or not, the purchasing shows that. So at the end of the day, you know, when people say, should I wait for 25? Probably if you hate every color they currently have, if you think at the end of the day, because the price is going up, they may say the availability of some of the safety tech is available in lower packages, but really you're going to pay for it in the long run. So can you get a deal on a 24? Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get some deals on 24s, especially because I am urging people to wait to 26 or just go ahead and snag a 24 to get a little bit cheaper MSRP, because they're not going to change it. And you can mark me, guys, from what I've heard is the Ford reps that come out to the dealers and talk to them, there's nothing major changing with this truck, because it's already a hot seller. And GM's done the same thing. They've added some models. They've tweaked a few things here and there. And I think that in the long run, I think GM changed their front fascia in 22 and a half. So 25 might be a small tweak. But then again, who's to say you're going to like those little tweaks or changes? Again, these are people that engineer it and then sit back and say, well, I like it. But then again, a lot of people may not. So as we keep on driving here, guys, and riding out the rest of this video, I'm going to just tell you this much. The proof is in the pudding. history teaches us lessons every day, meaning Ford's not going to break the mold here. They really put a lot into the 23 model when they refreshed it. And from the 23 to 24, it was literally they're just trying to work through those kinks. And there's no reason why Ford should want to vastly change in 2025, because they run their Super Duty interiors when they finally changed it in 2017. Keeping in mind, when I reference back to the 2008 Ford Super Duty, they kept basically that interior all the way to 2016. So even though they changed the exterior, the interior, nobody really had any complaints. And I don't really see anybody complaining about this setup, other than the potential gauges here where they can make a little bit more detailed. But I mean, that's going to be something that they can tweak themselves. Again, a horsepower race is always going to happen. So yes, that's going to happen again. They're going to tweak it by 5 horsepower, 10. I mean, even from the previous generation Godzilla in 24, they bumped the horsepower up by 5. So, you know, at the end of the day, I don't see anything vastly changing. My information coming from my Ford sources saying that 25 is not going to be your year for anything vastly changes. So if you can't Goldilocks a current generation Super Duty, so you can't find a grille you like, a color you like, the interior you like, and everything like that, I would probably encourage you to wait till 2026. Now, if you're just in dire need of a new HD truck, then I think a compelling argument would just be to order a 25, but don't expect to get in here and be like, wow, this is so much better than a 24. Again, I think they're working through their progress. Like my AC chafing, I went through that and checked it. It's already corrected on my 24. So really, they're tweaking as they go. It's a small detail in the manufacturing plant to relieve a recall or issue. It's a quick fix for them because they can just change it as they go. They are still making 2024s and shipping 2024s. And I just don't believe that it's necessarily in anybody's best interest to wait for a 25 just so you can have a higher MSRP. But then again, as 24s start rolling out of lots and 25s start dropping, the availability of a 24 is going to be a lot less. Now, would I buy a 2023? Probably not. I looked at a lot of 2023s. They always say stay away from first generation of anything, and that one was plagued with problems. But again, the 24 already has its problems, and I've had problems. And so at the end of the day, I would tell you guys that the rumor mill is always huge. People are always going to say this, say that. You can actually go to Google, type in 2025 Ford, because I wanted to figure out where all these other people are getting on their videos their information, because they're saying all these great big changes. I see artist renditions, so you can actually go type in it, and literally it says by AI that there's going to be huge changes to this truck, and this is what they're telling you. That's a little far-fetched. I think we all know that it would be absurd for Ford to change anything. And from my Ford information, yeah, there's nothing to do it. Again, packaging is going to be the biggest difference for 25. And really in 2026, that's where I see the grille changing, the hybrid option potential. I think it's a little hopeful for that still in 2026. But that's really where I see the potential of being changing. So for me, 25, I don't think they're really going to change a whole lot. I have nothing from my information saying that it's going to change. And I hope that helps a lot of you guys, because no matter if you're looking at a Ford or a Chevy, if you don't like the current generation of Chevy, the really only way is to see it at an auto show if it's a prototype, and that still can be tweaked. And you can also just wait till they come out and see if they've changed enough for you to like it. I don't see it. Not that early. It'd be unheard of on a very popular selling vehicle. It might be one of the first times, if anyone would have done it, and they're not extending out anything that would suggest otherwise, other than why change the recipe. So as always, everybody, I appreciate you guys being here, and we'll catch you on the next one.